Welcome back. My name is Kevin, and today's topic will be miles per gallon versus miles per kilometer. It's information that isn't really shared very well from the manufacturers or really understand that well before we go out and buy these vehicles. Manufacturers, they still use terms like miles per gallon, which is really kind of confusing, and you really don't understand what you're getting into. So I'm going to talk about that today. So let's take a look here at just some examples. So I'm going to jump into my vehicle, or I guess the 2025 Sierra. One of the things they list on here is 64 city, 64 highway. So what does that really mean? How do you relate that when you get your vehicle? There's nothing in the vehicle that says 64 city, 64 highway, or is giving you that type of data for you to be able to go, how is this working? How am I doing? Am I efficient or not? Our vehicles show miles per kilowatts. And if we look at the window sticker, this one, for example, doesn't even show you what the range is or what their estimated miles per kilowatt is. There's nothing on here. If we go over and look at a Ford Mustang, here they say 94 and 103. So what does that really mean? I don't know. So let's look at the window sticker on this one. They make it even more confusing by the fact that now they say 104 miles per gallon E, and I'm sure there's probably something out there that would tell me what this means. And then 110 city, 98 highway, 32 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. What is that all about? Give you some dollar amounts. You know, it's all crazy talk as far as I'm concerned. I did find an interesting website that though might help you out from that understanding. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. This website shows you everything that you kind of want to know, and I'm not sure where they're getting the data because it could vary a little bit, but as we saw, the manufacturers don't even post anything specific on their window stickers. So here is, and you can sort this by different categories here, but I'm going to change this to sort it by battery. So I drive the Sierra, biggest battery in the market, I guess besides the Hummer. But as you can see here, they talk about a range on my vehicle, 400 miles, or this is a little bit older, they now say 440, roughly a 200 kilowatt battery, and they're expecting 2 miles per kilowatt. And you can go through this list. Again, I don't think this is 100% correct, but it's some good starting data. But you can use this. You can also sort by the miles per kilowatt here and look at some of the top ones out there. My vehicle is getting 2. This is 4.4. The new Tesla, I think this is a new Tesla Model 3, 4.4 miles per kilowatt. So that's really how we need to measure or understand how our vehicles are obtaining their efficiency. So I'm not sure why they don't put that on the window stickers. I think probably due to the fact that, as we all know, the battery sizes are going to shrink, right? Some might say that they're going to shrink very little. Some might say that range or that battery is going to lose, so many percent per year. We'll see, I guess, right? So that would affect then the miles per kilowatt, I guess, from this standpoint. I guess from a range standpoint, excuse me, won't change the miles per kilowatt. So this is a good website. I'll add this down there just to get that information. But now that we know that, right, how does that really help us understand some of our costs? So I created a spreadsheet that I'm going to share. And the first tab I'm going to go to is the range estimates. So you can use this to really try and understand what your range looks like, not only what they recommend, but what you may actually be seeing. So here we can see that the battery size here for my vehicle is 200 and the range is 400, which tells me it's 2 miles per kilowatt. If I adjust this to say 2 miles per kilowatt, at 100% it's 400, 80%, etc., etc. I also have a range minus 0.1. So if this was 1.9, 1.8, 1.7, if that's what I'm getting actual, I have it all here in one spreadsheet, so you could copy this out if you wanted, or you can plug it in here and say I'm actually getting 1.5 miles per kilowatt. and it gives you some of the ranges. I would utilize this when I'm trying to figure out trips, how many stops I should be trying to plan, or if I'm you know, maybe going a little bit of a distance. Do I need to fill up someplace, or at least to get a shot in the arm, so to speak? So this can help you with that, or it might help you with some of the additional calculations. So I made some calculators over here, just some simple spreadsheets, because I want to try and figure out what is my sweet spot. Is there an efficiency standpoint? Where am I crossing over? As we know, it's a lot more expensive to charge at superchargers when you're on trips, but how does it really affect you? So this first calculator is really calculating costs based off of estimated miles you might drive per year or per month. You can modify it here. So the first row here is, this is what you're expecting for your miles per kilowatt. I have in here right now for my vehicle, I'm expecting 2 miles per kilowatt. You can go in here and put your different rates in here. So this is my actual rates. I pulled this from my electric bill. I don't know if I have it up here or not. Let's see if I do. I don't think there it is. Is this it? So this is my electric bill. As you can see, my on-peak is 24 cents, plus then I have a fuel cost of 2.7 cents. So that's where I'm getting it. This is Xcel Energy in Minnesota. As you can see, my biggest charges have been really on my off-peak, which is 0.038 cents at this point. So I put in these actual rates, and then if I just wanted to give some estimates on how many miles, so I'm going to say, well, I'm going to do 25,000 miles this year. If we're doing 25,000 miles this year, and I got 2 miles per kilowatt, and I used my rates at 100%, and I did all off-peak, it cost me about 3 cents per mile. Okay, so it's just calculating out. I could then also say, well, I'm going to do 50% off-peak and 50% mid-peak. I'm at 5 cents. Let's change this so that's 50% off-peak and 50% my highest peak, up to 9 cents. And let's even just say, hey, I'm going to be doing a bunch of trips, and 50% of it, my total is fast chargers. So you can see it there, it jumped it up to 15 cents. You can also then do a nice comparison on your vehicle. I was getting about 25 miles to the gallon on my diesel truck, and I would say that if I use diesel today went up to 3.89 cents. So you can see it's just a little more expensive. So this is where you can do some comparisons based on some estimates for a year, a month. If you wanted to plug in some different values here, let's just say maybe you're thinking, hey, you're going to do a couple trips, and this gives you the miles down here below, so you can kind of see how many miles you're talking about. I do have a little thing here that tells you that you don't have 100%, so let's do 20% there, and it leaves me 20% here. So out of my 25,000 miles, I think about 12,500 will be off-peak, 5,000 between mid-peak and on-peak, and 2,500 here. And again, you're not really going to know exactly how many miles you need. You're not planning this out, right? But just to give you a kind of a variable, and even then you're still at 8 cents, which is half the per mile cost than an ICE vehicle. So this is just basically trying to make some calculations. Maybe you're trying to find your break-even point, or just justify some of the costs. I also built a secondary one here, and then, by the way, sorry, I can go up here and adjust this to 1.5 miles. Hey, this is probably really what I'm getting right now, this time of the year. So you can see it's 10 cents, even if at this right here. But if I went back to 80 and did 20, I'm still down to 5 cents. So you can adjust the kilowatts here. Don't forget that, right? So not just off of what the manufacturer says, but what do you actually think you're going to get over that year? I've been averaging about 1.5 during the winter here, and it makes a big difference in Minnesota. Some of that also has to do with the fact that, quite honestly, I warm the vehicle up. It's warming the vehicle up, running heaters in these things, it's not super efficient. So if I go over to the next tab here, this one again, it looks the same on the top. I'm going to go back to my efficiency standard there, but this is really plugging in my monthly electric bill. So again, I have my rates, and I then pulled my electric bill. You know, if you remember, it was $727, $349, and $22. So I pulled my actual electric bill in here. So I'm going to get some actual information on my costs. So if I had some Tesla fast charging or EV-Go fast charging, I could save those receipts, get my average rate, and enter that in here as well. I did not for this. So that would be what you could enter in here, your actual bill. And you could do it off of what for that period of time, what you had for rough efficiency. So if you set a trip monitor for the month, and let's just say it came in at 1.6, you would have down here your total cost of 124. Obviously that's calculated off of these right here. It'd give you the calculated miles based off the fact that your trip odometer says 1.6, which, you know, if it's calculating correctly, it should give you a calculated roughly about 1,756 miles. And a calculated per mile cost of 0.07. Now if you said, hey, you know, it said 1.6 miles per kilowatt, but I didn't get 1756. This doesn't line up. I actually got 1,500. So not sure why, but wanted to be able to have a variable in there. But you can go ahead and plug in your actual miles during that monthly period, and you'd get 8 cents. So again, if I said over this period of time it was, whoops, I'm going to say, let's say I'm driving that Tesla, and let's say it's 3.5. It would calculate out to 3,843 miles, but really, no, I didn't get that. I don't know why. I mean, it should be. Well, let's just say I only got 2,000 miles actual. I have a variable way to put that in there. And again, I have the ICE comparison down here. You know, based on your vehicle, what are you getting? If I was driving a GMC Sierra gas truck, I'm going to guess this is probably closer to, what, 16? At $3.28. Maybe it's down a little bit here in Minnesota. Let's just drop that down to $3. Go on the low side. It's still 19 cents. Right? So if I was at 1.4, worst case scenario here on this vehicle, I'm still half of what a gas truck would drive. So I'm going to try and add these both to this video. So if you want to go out here and mess with it yourself, again, I think right now I didn't put these formulas in here, so I'll add this before I work it up. But if you want to put some fast charge rates in there, right, you can. So let me just fix this right now. So if you wanted to put some fast charge rates in there, you can put some additional fees in here. I put $27 for this, but you could also put some additional fees in here. Maybe you pay a monthly charge for your Electrify America. You can add that into this. My $27 fees was from my bill. You know, I have some taxes and stuff I didn't really figure in. But if I did also say my rate was 55 cents and I charged at Electrify America for 55, well, let's just go, I did 100 kilowatts, right? That does adjust it right here again. So you could add that in there if you keep track of that, or you have an app or whatever that pulls that all up. That's really where you're going to find out whether your rubber meets the road when you're doing trips and you have to do some fast charging. I think we've all understood at this point that charging at home, these things are super cost effective, especially if you have a rate plans like I do. And if you don't, you should be checking with your electric company. But this would really help you maybe figure out, hey, how am I doing? I'm doing trips. Is it really, am I still saving? And that's kind of what I'm going to be doing with my next trips coming up, is understanding that, hey, I have to make 3 trips over a month period or over a year. I can kind of add that up. You have to save all this data over here and do all that, but some of us like to check out the numbers. So some interesting info. If you have questions on how to use this, having problems with it, I did lock these spreadsheets just so you don't mess it up, but if you're know how to unlock it and you're kind of a smart person, you might figure out the password. Let's just say it's 3 letters. That's it for today. Thanks.